Ohio-based Roger Bacon, who currently sits at 3-2. It's a lovely 72 degrees here at Danville High School. Barely any clouds in the sky. We welcome you on this homecoming game to the ISC Sports Network broadcast. My name is Landon Kleindorfer, and to my right is former Northwestern center and Cathedral grad Jared Thomas. Jared, you have a little bit of experience playing out-of-state games. What's it like? Is it a little bit different whenever you're going up against a team that you know is across the border?
Sometimes it is a culture shock because you don't know the level of talent in the surrounding conference or even in the surrounding area that the school is traveling over from Ohio sees week in and week out. So it can be a bit of a culture shock. But then I think once you settle into the football game, you understand it's just football at the very end of the day, and then it becomes a true chess match from there.
Well, we're going to have the coin toss coming up here. We're going to take a real quick break, and it'll be time for kickoff here from Danville High School. Don't go anywhere. It's ISC Sports Network.
It's time to supercharge your internet with ridiculous speeds up to 1 gig from Endeavor. Get ready for high gear downloads that power buffer-free streaming, gaming, sharing, and surfing. And fire up all your devices at once with reliable speeds amplified by the latest Wi-Fi equipment. Get on the fast track to a powerful online experience. Contact Endeavor and supercharge your internet today.
As we come back here, we'd like to thank our 3 major sponsors: Endeavor Communications, internet speeds up to a gig. Learn more at weendeavor.com. LIUNA, the proud members of the Indiana Laborers District Council and affiliate local unions who build Indiana. We are LIUNA. And Raising Cane's. Game days are better with Cane's. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love, as we are just about ready for kickoff here for the homecoming game for the Danville Warriors. And I wasn't sure, I didn't see who got the coin toss here, but this is a game, like you mentioned already, it's a big, maybe possible culture shock. You're going across the borders, but also an even bigger game with the homecoming parade and all the festivities. What goes into that? I mean, is there a little bit more hype coming into a game?
At the end of the day, it's all distractions, things to get you sidetracked from the ultimate goal, which is just to go 1-0 tonight, another Friday night that these high schoolers have to be champions in their role and go get their team a victory. And so, as you said, there are so many things that can pull you away from the ultimate goal. So I'm always excited to see the initial part of these football games, just because depending on how you start the game is usually how you sustain yourself throughout the entirety of it. So I'm excited to see what both teams' responses are with all the travel for Roger Bacon and then all of the homecoming festivities for Danville.
And we'll see what happens, because Roger Bacon going to start with the football here, as I mentioned, sitting at 3-2. The interesting things when you look at these two teams throughout this season so far, only one game has been decided by one score or less. It seems like it's been a lot of huge scores, big blowouts for wins or losses, as both of these teams are around 500.
And that can easily be broken down into the simple fact of these Roger Bacon Spartans, they have a lot of guys that have to go both sides of the ball. So in those blowout games, it seems the talent from the other team has been too much in those blowout wins.
So it'll be the defense starting things off for the Warriors, as this one kicked away and will be returned just short of the 10-yard line. And after a little bit of a push, looks like Roger Bacon going to start just past the 25-yard line, and the defense going to come out here for the Warriors. Talking about the defense, a few big players that I'm expecting to see, especially at the linebacker position. Porter Prather and Bryce Egan, both juniors. Prather so far this season, 36 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss. He's got a block punt as well, getting it done on the special team side. Egan, 57 total tackles, 2 for loss. He's got a quarterback hurry, half a sack, and a pick as well to his name.
But the thing I love about what you said, Landon, is the top 3 tacklers that they have on their defense are all juniors. So they're playing with house money this year, knowing that they get them back next year.
Going to be a run right up the middle to start things off, and a gain of a modest 5 yards. Make that 4 yards to start it off for Roger Bacon. And also in that backfield, or in the secondary, that is, you've got defensive back, also a junior, like you were talking about, in Jacob Foltz. 3 interceptions so far this season, 4 pass defenses as well. So you've got a couple of key contributors on the defensive end. They're trying to get back over that hump of 500 as they move along through the season.
And Griffin Hackelman is another name that you should pay attention to. As a defensive back, to be top 3 in tackles, that means a lot. And about how you play the game of football coming downhill from that safety position.
Boot out to the left side, looking for the pass. There's nothing there. It's just going to be taken out of bounds. And so far, a really nice defensive stop here for your Warriors here to open this thing up on the homecoming game.
One thing I know to be true about all Jamie Comer coached football teams here for the Danville Warriors, they're not going to beat themselves, and they're going to constantly focus on the little things, and that's just being balanced on both sides of the ball. So with this spread attack from this Roger Bacon Spartan team, expect the Warriors to be keyed in to whatever their keys are for their reads and everyone playing on a string.
Smart takes a snap again. This is going to be a short pass out to the left side, and that's going to be a first down and more. Big gainer stepping out of bounds across the 50-yard line. As Smart, I don't think anybody actually got to him, but he went down after the pass. Still a back foot throw there.
Just an empty protection by the Spartans. Smart drops back, as you can see, the blitzing backer right there, and that's why he's able to get it out to Jameer Mitchell on the perimeter, taking advantage of the blitzing linebacker. The other one going to the field, no one out to the boundary, and Mitchell able to scurry for a first down.
Hurrying up to the line of scrimmage this time. Smart going to hand this one off, rush to the right side. A lot of white jerseys out in front, but good penetration, and it's a gain of 3.
You can see Jerome Smith comes up a bit hobbled, grabbing at that right shoulder That's a guy that ran big for them last week, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if they're not without their other second head of the monster in the backfield, that could be a huge blow for the Spartans.
The senior Jameer Mitchell comes into the game to replace him. And like you mentioned, that's not something you want to lose at any point, especially here in this early going of the game. First possession for the Spartans. Smart fakes the handoff, gets it outside. That one's going to be caught for a first down and more. Couple of nice moves, but not fooling the defense as that one moves the sticks.
Liam Vargo being one of Braden Smart's favorite targets. A couple of touchdowns a week ago against New Richmond. Doing a nice job. Once again, that spread attack, there's so many weapons for Smart to utilize in this offense. So they're going to constantly put you in compromised positions, force you to defend the entire field, and banking on one of their guys to be open.
Again, 4 receivers out there, but they're going to hand this one off. And that one is a good gain. It seems like on first down they've shown some success. They got stopped on that first play of the game, but since then first down has been 4 or 5 yards, good chunks.
That's the name of the game. If you can come out on your first offensive possession, get that first down, that calms the nerves of everyone involved in the operation, and that's exactly what we're seeing so far from the Spartans offensively.
And it also has to feel good knowing Mitchell's come in here, and he's the one who's kind of getting that work done on these last couple of drives. Smart taking snaps primarily from the shotgun. He's going to pass outside left side. They've attacked that left side each time that they've thrown, and it's been fruitful so far. It's another first down.
We talk about at the start of the broadcast how these Roger Bacon Spartans go on both sides of the ball. Evan Otto, someone that Smart looks to in the receiving part of the game, is also one of their guys that handles some of the kicking duties. And you can see the sideline next time the camera pans there. Not a lot of guys on that sideline, so not a lot of depth at key positions. So everyone, Coach Blount, head coach of this football team, banking on everyone contributing, no matter if they're within the state of Ohio or travel across state lines.
Going to be another pass, this one toward the end zone. There's 2 defenders there, and that one's intercepted in the end zone. Throwing into double coverage, not a great idea, and it's a turnover to start things off for the Danville Warriors.
Smart's pass is intercepted by 28 Jacob Fultz.
Don't love the pass from Braden Smart at the quarterback position, understanding there wasn't really anyone there to take advantage of. He actually had Christian Bird in the flat that I would have liked to see him take advantage of. But the other part of that is Jacob Fultz. You talked about it. Leads the team with interceptions. He gets number 4 on this, bailing out into zone coverage, saw it the whole way, and then made a play on the football. Getting interception number 4 on the season to get the crowd involved on homecoming.
You mentioned that the flat was open. Sometimes, you know, these high school players, they get a little frustrated. There's a few short passes, some short runs, wanting it all right there, and it ends up being a turnover. And we'll see what the offense can do here in response following that turnover. Going to be a quick handoff up the middle and a nice gain to start it off.
Going back to that defensive stop by Danville, if you look at the tape for them and what Roger Bacon did this season against Archbishop McNicholas, they didn't score. And in that game, they only ran for 10 yards on the ground, but it was 2 interceptions. One of those, as you see in the early parts of this game, not a good recipe for the Spartans. So started well, driving the field, but then giving the ball through a gift early part of that first drive.
Vu here had the carry on the first possession. That brings us up second down and short. Now it'll be a pass play on the slant. Possession catch, and no, that one hits the ground as it was a sliding attempt at the ball right there by Mason Shipley.
So many intriguing storylines with this Danville team, specifically at the quarterback position with Carter Ward being a sophomore a year ago, taking over not even midway through the season, doing an outstanding job, and then taking a heartbreaking loss, but still being at the controls for this Warriors team. So I love to see that he's continuing to battle despite only being 2-3 right now. If they expect to do anything tonight, it's going to have to be on his shoulders.
Ward going to throw quickly this time outside, and that one off the fingertips of his intended receiver, Drew Rector. But Ward so far this season, 125 yards per game. The touchdown interception ratio, you got to like that. 8 touchdowns, 1 pick so far this season. He's not somebody who's going to run a whole lot, but he does have 14.2 yards per carry. Whenever he gets close to the red zone, into that red zone it is, he does have 3 rushing touchdowns though. So he can do it with his legs when they get close to pay dirt.
And what you want to see from your quarterback, especially when he's young, is just manage the game with your decision making. And I think he did that a year ago, and he's kept that same type of productivity up this year.
That was a hopper back to the punter, and it still gets away, but it takes a Roger Bacon bounce, comes back across the 50, and it's kind of going back and forth, but it goes out of bounds at around the 50-yard line. The operation not the cleanest on that one, but still able to get that punt away.
That's one part of high school football that you see in the state right now is the consistency of special teams. It's not just something that gets talked about at the highest levels, but even right here within the state at the high school level, so important because it truly changes the tide and the outcome of certain games.
Seems like especially at 4A and lower, if you can just have a player who can consistently hit PATs or consistently get the punt away, that's a huge bonus to your team.
That's a Swiss Army knife you have there.
Run right up the middle for a big gain just short of the first down. Again, that was Mitchell.
It's a power back with explosion is Mitchell. Not going to always run past you, but has enough strength to withstand some of the blows that come with defenders diving into his legs. 525 max squat guy, power cleans 285 pounds. So the Warriors going to have to bring their hard hat trying to get him down consistently tonight.
Still no Jerome Smith here for this second drive of the Spartans as they'll hand it off, and it's a tackle in the backfield. Big play that time for Cale Quick, the sophomore defensive lineman. Came straight through the line, and that brings up third down and short.
When you have a bigger back like Roger Bacon has, you put that onus defensively on your defensive front. So I love what Cale Quick did there, shed the double team and the block from the offensive line and took matters into his own hands.
See if they keep this one on the ground. They've had success. No, it's going to be a play action, short pass, left side, big yardage though. Great dial up there. Terrence Todd picks up the first down and more. Just attacking the flats, and it seems like, again, that left side, those short passes have been really successful so far.
But it's all about the deception that the football can provide when keying the football as a defensive player. And all we saw Braden Smart do there was just hide the football just long enough to give Terrence Todd enough time to bypass the defense to get open.
Three receivers off to the right side. They're just going to be blockers, and that one's not going to go for much, maybe a yard that time.
The Spartans have to feel fortunate, turn the football over, defense gets a 3 and out, get the football back, and right back into the position you were on the drive before. Use some fortuitiveness and be smarter than you were the drive before and try and get points here.
The only difference, though, right now, I know that they had that big play for the first down, but the defensive line is certainly getting a little bit more penetration than they did on that first drive as well. This time they hand it off, and a quick move out to the left side. A lot of space out there and a good tackle right at that first down marker, and I believe that is enough, and it will be a first down.
That was Griffin Hackelman from that safety position. When you have a team like the Spartans that spread you out, there's a lot more attention that goes into the defensive backfield because you don't want to get beat over the top. So if the offensive line can do a good job blocking the box, once that runner breaks contain, like we just saw from Mitchell, big yards have to be had out there, and that's why we see Hackelman coming up to make some plays.
Ball spotted at the 15-yard line. That first down marker sitting at the 5 as Roger Bacon into the red zone. Again, that one nearly deflected, but it is caught on the left side and out of bounds for a really nice gain. So it seems like whenever Roger Bacon takes those small opportunities, it's just been all success. But you saw right there, Xavier Hess nearly gets his hand on it.
But as you said, Landon, it's all about taking advantage of what the defense is giving you. It's not always that home run hitter, as we saw Braden Smart try to take advantage of on that first drive. Sometimes it's dinking and dunking and getting yourselves in scoring position.
Smart keeps this one, and he's going to the end zone. That's going to be a touchdown. Roger Bacon, first one's on the scoreboard here in the first quarter. Makes it 6-0. They've been handing off that rock, and it's been power football between the tackles. A great dial up there with the read option. And he was very patient on that play as well, making sure that he was really selling that.
That's a great point by you. It's all about what you do with the football. You have to hide it long enough for the defense to react to it. But what has he done all game so far? It's been a lot of play fakes, RPOs, getting the ball out. As a passer that time, taking advantage of the defense sleeping, turned himself into a runner.
By the way, Smart, not just the quarterback, also the holder here for kicks, as that one's sent away, and it is good. So Roger Bacon leads it 7-0 here over Danville in the first quarter, as we're going to take our first break. It's ISC Sports Network here at Danville High School.
It's game day at Raising Cane's. If you want to order like a champ, forget about X's and O's. The only play you're running is chicken. So what combo are you picking? We've got tailgates of hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. This season is about to be unbeatable. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
7-0 our score. The Warriors trailing after a read option play for Bubba Smart, and he finds pay dirt. So now the offense going to have to find something. We saw a little bit from them. It was a 3-and-out after the turnover. What are you expecting out of this offense if they're going to try to move the ball down the field?
I don't think anything they did on that first drive is something to be upset about. They ran the ball effectively on first down. It was actually a slant pattern to Mason Shipley that he dropped that would have put them in 3rd and short at worst. So I think it's just about executing the little things, tightening the screws on this next drive.
See here on the special teams end, as this will be just short of the 10-yard line and returned. And that goes just across the 25, and that's where the Warriors will set up shop. Basically the same field position as their last possession. Talking about the offense, we talked about Carter Ward, 125 yards per game so far this season. He's throwing to some upperclassmen receivers. Liam O'Brien, 87 yards so far this season. We mentioned Drew Rector's name, 29.4 yards per reception with 6 touchdowns so far this season as well.
Drew Rector, a guy that really stepped in place for the same position that Jace Grafton played a year ago. Bigger receiver, Jace being 6'6". Drew Rector not being so fortunate in that department, but it just shows you that when you have a crew that leaves one season due to graduation, you have other guys that can step into the same roles. So that same role that we saw Scrafton play, Fullwider being another receiver, Shipley has stepped in nicely as that second fiddle in the receiver room. So just guys that can pluck and play in this Coach Comer system.
Only 1 yard gained there from Vu. 3 touchdowns to his name so far this season, 82 yards per game. He's getting a nice gain per carry, 5.3 yards per carry so far this season. As they'll pitch this outside, there's a lot of space. And really a nice job flying in there on the defensive end. Open field tackle there for Evan Otto, but that's going to bring up 3rd down and very manageable, just a yard to get to the stick.
I actually would have loved to see, you can't really tell in the top of your screen, that was Porter Prather lead blocking. He actually missed Evan Otto. That seemed like more of a threat, and he was ultimately the guy that you called his name that made the tackle. More yards probably on that play had he been able to get that block on Otto.
So they try to get a jump right there. Now a change at the line here for Ward. Man in motion, pitching it out to the right side, and there is some space, but going to have to make a man miss, and that's going to be a 1st down, the first one of the day for Danville.
Going back to what we said for the Spartans, it's just about getting that first down. So many nerves go into these contests, and sometimes as players, you overcomplicate it because you think it's a lot bigger than what it actually is in the moment. So when you have some success, it allows you to calm down, and then you can really get into the flow of the game.
And it's also going to be very useful if you can get those receivers out wide. You don't even have to throw the football. You got a player like Rector with a lot of speed. You saw it right there, able to get to the line and get that 1st down.
Well, this is a play caller in Jamie Comer who had a lot of success when he was at Western Boone, and that offense that he averaged over 40 points per in 2018 and 19 in those back-to-back years winning state championships. A lot of those same principles, I think he's evolved it into a little bit more spread as well as you watch them on tape a little bit. So this is a team that can score with the best of them. It's just about making sure they have their best foot forward as a whole in each game.
They've certainly got some fun plays on the playbook, that is. I mean, you've got really, we just saw basically a motion going the opposite direction. They're going speed option toward the left side. That one doesn't go for many yards, but certainly one of those plays that can definitely catch a defense off guard. Great job there by Roger Bacon on the defensive end. This one's going to be a pass play this time for Ward. He's going to have to scramble for it, and he jumps over. That's going to be a block in the back.
Carter Ward on the keeper for your Warriors.
So that's going to be a negative play that time, as Paxton Trump, I believe, going to pick up the block in the back. Likely would have been a tackle behind the line of scrimmage had that not happened.
Paxton just doing his best, blocking down the field. Sometimes you get caught in no man's land as an offensive lineman.
Just can't be turned the other way.
That's exactly right. You get caught with your hands behind your back, and then you throw your hands up and say, I'm innocent.
So that's going to bring up second down and long, second down and 20 this time for the Warriors. Here in the early goings for the offense is Ward going to look toward the right side, and that one shot over the intended receiver.
From Christian Bird being in off coverage out toward the wide side of the field. So just a miss there from Carter Ward, trying to take too much time to think about something that was just a natural given.
7-0 our score here in the late stages of the first quarter. Danville able to pick up their first down of this quarter so far. Now they're going to be back to pass. The pump fake and finding an open receiver up the left side. That's going to be a big gainer and a truck straight through the chest of the defender. And how about a big play to get across the 50-yard line for Danville?
You can tell that that was not the intended target on that route, but that's what the progression of a route can do. You see Carter Ward pumps to Drew Rector and then finds his receiver out at the bottom of your screen, and that's Trevor Lynch getting the crowd involved once again. A positive play when you were backed up to start that drive. Maybe that injects some life into the Warriors.
The perks of playing as an underclassman than coming in as an upperclassman. You were able to go through those progressions a little bit easier. You saw it right there, the pump fake, turning the eyes and making a nice throw.
But he also defies those odds as a sophomore, because you say as a young quarterback, that would have been, hey, I'm not going to look to get the ball to Lynch. I'm actually going to put my head down and take off as a runner. But Carter just being composed in the pocket, surveillances the field, and then finds the open guy.
1st and 10 this time from the 37-yard line. Still only a minute 20 left in the first quarter. Ward going to hand this off right side, and a big gap. That's a big gain toward the end zone. Touchdown, Warriors. Dayton Hood, his second touchdown of the season, to make this one 7-6.
It helps when you hit the line of scrimmage and you don't get touched. And Dayton, it seemed like, almost surprised himself that he got into the open that quickly. Credit to his offensive line, carving out the way for him to explode for that massive touchdown.
And he's a big back, so once he gets to those safeties, if they're next to him, they're not going to be able to make that play. And you saw it right there as he tumbled in. And now they push toward the line, and two-point conversion is good. So now it's a lead for Danville. How about that?
Just a phenomenal job by the Warriors, staying focused, facing some adversity to start the game on offense, but then responding emphatically with that run from Dayton Hood, doing a nice job being that second running back in Ethan Wooten's absence, who was that second guy just a year ago, but Hood stepped in nicely so far, gets him over 200 yards for the season on the ground.
Now, you spotted it on the offensive side on that first possession that they really showed that they had the ability to move the football. It was just a couple of mistakes. You know, they had that great first down carry, the drop, and it just didn't kind of work out for them. Big plays are going to kind of eliminate those errors whenever you can just tumble down the field. on that drive.
It helps in those moments where you need a big play and you can lean on something that's not so fancy, that's not as extravagant or fancy looking, and your offensive line, just to lean on them in times of need, and they provide big plays.
So now a different vibe around here is getting a little quiet as the lead was just 7-0. Now you get that 2-point conversion, your home team leading here on homecoming. Is there a chip knowing that you're battling in an Indiana versus Ohio game? Onside kick this time goes toward the 50, a fight for it. And I don't see how this could be Danville's ball. Yeah, the flag going to come out. Unfortunate, the ball actually came back and bounced off the face mask of the kicker. So the penalty flag comes out, and you see it, just unfortunate because overall they did fool Roger Bacon. They had a nice jump on it with numbers.
Great eye by the officials seeing the illegal touching. For those watching, that football has to travel 10 yards on an onside kick attempt before the kicking team can touch that football. That was not the case for Danville. And so an attempt to steal a possession and get the ball back turns into better field position for the Spartans.
And so the Spartans already going to be starting across the 50-yard line.
Danville. Roger Bacon takes over 1st and 10 at the Danville.
On their last scoring drive, they started around the 50 as well. And so, again, good field position here for Roger Bacon. And so this time they're going to go screen out toward the left side with a lot of space. And a nice first down play picks up 8 yards as Christian Bird, the senior.
Landon, so many times when offenses go in motion, it's nothing for any other reason than just to see if the defense is going to react. And everybody knows that if the motion guy goes and no one moves, that's zone coverage. That was good recognition by Braden Smart, seeing that no one moved and getting the ball out to the perimeter quickly to Christian Bird, and that's another free 8 yards on first down.
Come out spreading it out a little bit. 3 receivers over here on the short side, or on the near side, I should say. But it will be a handoff and a tackle right at the line of scrimmage, falling forward for a gain of 1 that time was Mitchell.
Right now, the Spartans not having to work super hard on offense because every time they've gotten the ball, they've drove on the plus side of the 50 quickly and effortlessly. And so far, Danville having to work a little bit harder. So hopefully you would like to see that, if you're a Warriors fan, that trend flip a little bit as this game goes on into the latter parts of it.
And now quickly going under center, it's going to be a quarterback keeper, and that is going to bleed forward across the stick, and that's going to be a first down.
More and more offenses giving the illusion that they're going to go in the gun on short yardage situations, and then just the wherewithal by the quarterback to quickly get under center and catch the defense sleeping just before they can adjust. That's what Smart did and got the first down.
And the clock is going to tick on this one, and that's going to do it for the first quarter. 8-7 the score. The Warriors on top, but Roger Bacon already across the 50-yard line and hunting for the end zone. We'll see what happens when we come back with second quarter action. Don't go anywhere. It's ISC Sports Network football here at Danville High School.
Want lightning fast internet speeds? Choose Endeavor. Go from slow to whoa. From last to fast. And wait to great. Endeavor Communications is bringing the fastest internet speed in Indiana to your town, so you can download huge files in a flash, stream videos at blazing speeds, and game online faster than you thought possible. Think fast and contact Endeavor Communications today at join.weendeavor.com.
This game is proudly sponsored by Endeavor Communications. Endeavor Communications doesn't just provide ordinary old internet service. Their blazing fast, high-speed, fiber-based service is a game changer. Don't settle for less. Switch to Endeavor for the winning play in connectivity. Visit weendeavor.com or call 1-800-922-6677. Endeavor Internet, your fiber connection, your victory. You mentioned it just before the break. Already across the 50-yard line, a little bit lower pressure here for Roger Bacon. Now it's 1st down and 10 across the 40-yard line. Defense needs to get a stop right here if they're going to try to battle with this team who's already had great field position, it seems like, every possession.
Just talking about getting in position to score for the Spartans, they've gotten whatever they wanted. Now, to the credit of the Danville Warriors, they took one of those opportunities away when you see the interception from Jacob Fultz at the end of that first offensive possession for Roger Bacon. But you want to see their defense get a stop the grittier way, and that's getting in the backfield like we see here.
That's a great job as it's a tackle in the backfield for a big loss there on 1st down to get things started here in the 2nd quarter. Momentum play is it was Vargo with the carry trying to get something to the outside. Just took too long to develop, and the line came straight through.
But that's a credit to that defensive line up front for the Danville Warriors, and Malachi Lane setting the edge to the field. When you set that edge, it forces the ball carrier to bubble the football out, allowing everyone else to pursue to the football.
2nd down and 16 after that big stop. Seems like every time they spread the ball out, it's typically a run play, but this time dropping back to pass, throwing this one down the field. Open receiver, that is caught. What a play, what a grab. Thought for a moment able to get the hand in there, but that's going to be caught for a huge 1st down and across the 10-yard line for Roger Bacon.
One of the best things that Braden Smart does at the quarterback position is his anticipation. That was Davion Gibson, who wasn't even turned around tracking the football before the ball already left Smart's hand. That's outstanding chemistry, but that's outstanding anticipation from number 14 in white.
And Hackelman brought that hand down trying to break that one up, but it was already secured. Now they'll just run it right up the middle, and that's going to go for a gain of 1.
And have to give Braden Smart his flowers. You see why he is the all-time leading passer in program history. Did that just a few games ago. The previous record was just over 3,700 yards, and he was able to take the lead as a senior at the controls at the quarterback position for the Spartans. But just doing a nice job, stands in the pocket, doesn't always have to be a runner, although he can, but shows that he can get the ball to his receivers without them even seeing the ball initially.
2nd and goal from the 7 this time. Smart, quick pass outside. That one toward the end zone. Touchdown. Lead goes back to Roger Bacon as those quick passes have continued to be fruitful for this Roger Bacon offense.
A phrase you hear so often in special teams is, what was the op time from the snapper to the holder and the kick getting off the ground? Just watch on the replay the op time from the quarterback, Braden Smart, getting the football, getting it to his receiver. That time is so quick, doesn't even give the defense a chance to react. By the time they do, Bird's already reaching over the goal line for another score.
Another PAT attempt upcoming as it's 8-13. Electing to go back to the PAT. Good operation. The kick is up, and it's wide right, no good. So the score stays 8-13 as we'll be right back in just a moment. Danville will try to take the lead when we come back. This game is brought to you by Liuna, the 12,000 Hoosier men and women with Laborers District Council and affiliated local unions that build in Indiana. We are Liuna. So a touchdown, but the PAT no good. Danville has already shown that they're likely to go for 2. They tried to get the onside kick as well. This is an aggressive Danville team. Maybe we'll see that throughout the game, but that PAT probably going to be a big deal as we go throughout this game.
Especially when you consider they've already gone for 2, something that has almost been coined their MO these last couple of seasons.
And a nice return to start it off as Danville trying to respond. Well, that's a great response to get things going on special teams.
Trevor Lynch doing a nice job showing that he is versatile in his approach. Got the big pass reception on the offensive side in the first quarter, and then there on special teams with the kick return.
Danville takes over.
So the offense comes back out here. Are you just looking for more of the same? I mean, you're trying to get that great first down and also just trying to get the passing game in when you can?
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't done anything to stop you thus far. You've run the ball effectively. You've passed the ball down the field effectively. You just have to stay on schedule, I think, has been the biggest hurdle for the Warriors to clear on offense.
A lot of blockers on the line this time for the Warriors as they pitch it out to the left side. Ton of space across the 50-yard line on the carry. And a first down.
29, Trevor Lynch on the carry.
You saw him go over on the motion, but that was Jackson Whitson on the edge. As you talked about extra blockers on the line of scrimmage for that offensive line. Does a nice job sealing the edge just long enough to allow the ball carrier to get outside. Staying on schedule once again. First down play, first down for the Warriors.
Both of these teams have shown that they're trying to get to the outside quickly, but they're doing it in completely different ways. A lot of pitches, a lot of, running to the outside. On the other side, it's a lot of flat routes, a lot of quick goes to the outside in the passing game. As this time, it's going to be a dialed-up run for the quarterback as he's across for a first down and more and trips up at the 30-yard line where he goes down, but another huge gainer for Danville.
And Porter Prather was doing some serious work down the field, perimeter blocking. If Carter Ward could have stayed on his feet just long enough, this might have been a house call. As you see, Porter Prather right there at the end shoves the defender, but then his quarterback falls down to the ground prematurely.
Turf monster will get you. I also feel like I should issue a formal apology, mention that he's not one to really run the ball a ton, but middle of the field takes off right there for a big game.
I think this is something that we've seen in their offense just the last few weeks. They really started the season passing the ball really well. This last part of the few weeks, they've run the ball better, and I think that's equated to more wins for them in this middle part before we transition to the back half of this high school football season.
That time, the double reverse. Rector trying to use his legs, able to get nearly to the line of scrimmage that time, but it seemed like it was pretty well sniffed out by Roger Bacon.
But that's when you call a trick play. Right after an explosive, Carter Ward goes for a massive gain. Then you come back with another trick play. You want to stack those plays back to back just to see if you can go get some more. Hopefully they don't go for a negative just so you can get back on schedule.
Second down and 11, and the operation not clean. Actually pointed toward the defense. So that's going to be
offsides against Roger Bacon.
Still 5-yard penalty on the defense. Saw a couple of bodies moving on the offensive side, but there was a reason for that. So despite losing the yard on that play, you're still getting that 5-yard gain, helpful after the penalty. Second down and 6, and a whistle timeout going to be taken here from Roger Bacon. So didn't like something out there on the defensive end, and so far we've seen a lot of movement here from Danville.
Just doing a nice job, as you said. Danville taking advantage of the runs going to the perimeter. For Roger Bacon on offense, they're taking advantage of short throws out to the perimeter. And all that really means, if we were to dumb it down, is they're just taking advantage of open space. There's open space on every defense. You just have to find them through your film study, your preparation, and that game plan for that specific week. And then when you get to the game, it's all about execution.
So whenever you're a team on the defensive side, you're playing a little bit further back, you're giving up those 5-yard plays. Is that really a defense that's trying to get the ball back through turnovers? I mean, they're trying to force something over the top, because it seems like that's what we've seen from both of these defenses.
Keep everything in front of you. Sometimes people don't love it because you're not being aggressive, but oftentimes when you're aggressive, you leave holes on the back end to allow receivers and other skilled players to get behind you. So you keep everything in front of you until you get to the red zone where the field shrinks and condenses, and then you don't have to defend as much, and that's when you start to play the real defense.
Coming out of the timeout, second down and 6, just under 8 minutes to go here in this first half. This time going to be handed off up the middle, and that's good enough for another first down.
One of the things I love about Min Vu a guy that I've gotten a chance to watch for a couple of years now. He's not going to do anything flashy besides run behind his pads, constantly going north and south. That speaks to why he is already over 400 yards rushing as the senior in that backfield, just always doing a nice job getting the yards that are in front of him.
A lot of movement once again, moving everybody over left to right. A lot of blockers at the line of scrimmage again. This is going to be a handoff up the middle again. And that's exactly what you're trying to get, 4 yards on first down.
I talked about that offensive formation for Jamie Comer coming from Western Boone, the wing T principles, that backfield action looking like a T, whether they're in wings on the perimeter of the tackles or they're in the backfield, just presenting so many different options for the quarterback to take advantage of, starting with either a dive or a pitch out to the perimeter, which is what we've seen so far in this one.
2nd down and 7. Another handoff, and that brings up 3rd and manageable.
And so what's the logic behind throwing the pitch out to the perimeter? Well, you soften the defense up and they start worrying about covering their own behind on the outside, and then you hit them with the dive, which is the same type of play that we saw Dayton Hood take advantage of for the lone score for Danville in that first quarter.
And so far it's been a beautiful job just getting chunks each time that they're carrying the football between the tackles in this game. Like seeing Vu in that 3-point stance as well, but gets the handoff that time, and the defense came straight through the middle. Maybe going back to the well one too many times on the offensive end.
That's linebacker Max Hoffman in the opener, had 9 tackles and 2.5 for loss, and you see why. He shoots the gap, and no matter how hard Min Vu runs, when you meet Max Hoffman in the backfield, he's gotten the advantage in a lot of those matchups.
So that's going to bring in back his longest field goal of the season, 25 yards. That was actually his only one of the season. This one wide left, no good. And so the score remains 13-8. Didn't go for the PAT, but that time they try to get the field goal, and that's going to be given right back to Roger Bacon.
But if we're all watching the same game that's going on right in front of us, Coach Comer understands this offense for the Spartans has gotten whatever they wanted. They've driven down the field every single time, aside from the first drive when they threw the interception. So when you get down in scoring positions, if you can't score a touchdown, you have to go for points just to keep yourself in it, because right now defensively they haven't been able to stop the Spartans.
But even on that possession where they did turn the ball over, they were able to move the ball down the field. It was just a matter of taking a shot and an opportunity that wasn't really there.
That's exactly right. That's part of understanding your football team and what's gone on so far in the early parts of this contest. And a credit to Coach Comer, just putting his team in the best position to win.
Quick pass out to the right side, and the strategy stays the same. Move the ball quickly and get it outside, and that's a 4-yard gain to start it off from the 20.
As I already talked about, a spread type of offensive formation for the Spartans, which means there are going to be multiple receivers detached from the offensive line. Not a lot of tight ends involved near and around the line of scrimmage. And they have so many different schemes that they can hit you with throughout a spread attack, which means if they spread you out and they're able to take advantage in the box with run plays, there's a lot of space to be had.
This time they do carry it, the rock right up the middle, and that goes for a gain of 2. So an opportunity here to get off the field for the defense if they're able to get this stop. 3rd down and 4.
Hit first by 7, Seth Dennison. Gain of a couple of yards on
I will say on the last couple of quick passes, it seems like, it's one read, get the ball out quickly. The defense has had a hand that's been around the area of that pass. You start picking up on those plays, and there is only one read. It can be dangerous for the offense.
100%, but to lean on a defensive lineman batting a ball down when your defensive secondary is playing off coverage is a slippery slope.
This time, Smart drops back to pass, finds the right side, and that's good enough for the first down. Just an out route that time, and it was caught by the halfback Mitchell.
Mitchell gets the credit for the first down, but that was really Davion Gibson that set Mitchell up for that one. It was his route that took the DB in the perimeter out to the field, out of that open zone, and allowed Mitchell to catch and get forward for the first down.
Right around 4 minutes of play left here in the first half. Danville will get the ball to start off the second half as that run squeaked through. Looked like it was going to be a tackle at the line of scrimmage, but just continuing to fight forward for about 4 yards.
But that's Malachi Lane again, that defensive end in this defensive structure, doing a nice job. Being the end man on the line of scrimmage, a lot of times isn't blocked on the backside of plays, able to squeeze down long enough and wrap up Mitchell and get him down, because if he hadn't, Mitchell, I think, would still be running.
Second down and 6. Smart hands this one off. Again, right side, a lot of open space across the 50-yard line now for Roger Bacon. And like you mentioned, is getting everything that they can get right now on the offensive end. And the defense just looking for something to plug it up. I'm not really sure what it is that's going to be able to get that stop based on the way that this scheme runs for the defense.
You're just putting a lot of pressure on your box defenders. Hey, it's you guys against that offensive line. Someone has to make a play, or we have to take artillery from the outside and bring it in the box, but then we become vulnerable on the perimeter. So just a chess match going on right now.
Faking the handoff that time. Ball is caught, and a flag thrown here on our side of the field.
Smart's pass is complete to 23, Terrence Todd.
It almost looked like the official maybe pointing toward the Danville side of things. Or was it an illegal motion?
I think they may have gotten illegal man downfield. That's
Yep.
what I thought. It's one thing about that run past option effect on the offensive line when you're looking to take advantage of a throw after selling the run. Sometimes those big guys get excited to get downfield and throw some blocks and spring one.
And so what could have been second down and short ends up being 1st and 15 for the Spartans. And although it is a mistake on the offensive side, it's a bit of a break here for the defense. They're back across the 50-yard line. You have an opportunity where they're going to need some extra yardage here. Again, same play as it goes right back to the original line of scrimmage. And identical to what we saw. Maybe the ball came out a little bit quicker so that man can't get downfield.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Spartans go back to that same offensive set. Maybe not on this drive, but in the ensuing ones, just because Davion Gibson would have been wide open. With the anticipation that Braden Smart plays with, he was flying past the secondary, and it was there. Don't take it on the first one, but you make a little asterisk next to it if you're the play caller over there for Roger Bacon, and get back to it at a later point.
Smart going toward the left, heaves this one up in the air, and that is incomplete, but a flag going to come in here, and I have a feeling that's going to be on Danville. There was some contact and hand fighting. And Otto, the intended receiver, went down before the ball got there.
Just talking about this just the other day with some of my old college teammates who were defensive backs, and sometimes the hardest thing as a defensive back when you're Hutton Simmons is to not be physical with the receiver as you're running downfield. That's really hard to do, but sometimes you make it more difficult when the ball is uncatchable and you become physical, because now you make it an easy call for the officials. So Simmons truly just put in a compromised position there, and unfortunately gets another big gain through a penalty for a first down for Roger Bacon.
And it does change over time whenever you go through different levels, though. You know, hand fighting a little bit more available whenever you get to those higher levels, because both of them really seemed like they both had a hand going toward each other. But at this level, a lot of times, any amount of contact going to be a flag.
But no matter the level, to your point, Landon, the common denominator throughout all levels is if you knock a receiver down to the ground near the football, more times than not, they're going to call that.
Went for the middle screen right there, and it was deflected by a Danville player.
Bryce Egan
Yep.
leads this team in tackles a couple of games, one being Gibson Southern, 19 tackles against Cascade, had 14, has an interception on the season. That would have made it his second. You saw Roger Bacon trying to take advantage of a middle screen, but Egan sniffed that one out and almost came up with a big turnover.
2nd down and 10, just short of that 30-yard line. Passing play here, right side, and maybe fortunate that that was off the mark because the defense was right on that one. That ball got jumped on. Had that been on the mark, maybe going the opposite direction for 6.
It almost felt like Gibson wasn't even prepared to take that one because he felt like he was covered. But Smart just throwing a rocket, seeing what he could get. But nice job by Gibson, not even fighting for that one as it was far and away outside.
3rd down and 10. Another opportunity here for the Danville defense. And with 2:24, still an opportunity for the offense to come out and make a play. But the out route right there, right at the stick, and that's a 1st down, I believe. Yes, they will move the sticks forward. Maybe. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, they're going to call it short. The back man on the chain gang tricked me and then started moving forward. I was ready to move forward too.
From our perspective, I thought Gibson was good with his feet and the line to gain on his catch. Officials thought of it otherwise, about to praise the offense for doing a nice job of getting to the sticks and the line to gain, but called differently down on the field. So now we have a 4th down opportunity for a stop and then for a conversion if you're Roger Bacon.
Now the last time we saw Smart go into the shotgun, run up quickly to the line for the QB sneak. This time just quickly under center, and a flag going to come in. Somebody was probably in the neutral zone. It's just going to be a question of whether or not it was the offense or the defense. If this is against Roger Bacon, going to be massive, obviously, with it being 4th down. Otherwise, it's going to be a 1st down.
Usually when a flag pops out that quickly at the start of a play, guys were not set on the offensive side. Have to give everyone a chance once you're moving for at least a second before you can snap that football.
That's exactly what it is. So what would have been a 1st down just short of the red zone ends up being 4th down and 5.
Still 4th down.
But truthfully, I don't think, as you see, people were still getting in their stances, particularly left guard 77, Hunter Pauley, hadn't even got his hand down on the ground before that ball was truly snapped. They'll get you every time. But truthfully, whether they went backwards or not, I think this is still territory for Coach Blount and his team to go for it on 4th down.
Smart brings a man in motion right to left, takes a snap, drops back to pass. Tried to point a man forward. Now he's going to try to do it with his legs, and he's right at the sticks. See what the call is on the field. Looking back, it's right there at the 22-yard line. And it's going to be Danville football. Huge stand on the defensive side, and it's a turnover on downs.
You just feel that this is exactly what Danville needed. Defensive line does a nice job pushing Smart out of the pocket. And then the only thing you can't see right there, and it's a bang-bang call, when did Smart's knee go down in relationship to the football and the line to gain? Officials called it short. Danville takes over on offensive possession.
So now with 2:08 to play, Danville has an opportunity to try to take the lead here in this ball game, or at least get points on the board. Like we mentioned, they do get the ball to start off that second half as well. That'll be huge. Passing play here, can't find anybody. Smart move here, just changing direction of the field. It's going to be just short of that 1st down marker. A great carry. That time for Ward. Not putting the ball into harm's way, very important, especially being this close to your own end zone. Knowing the time and the opportunity, that was not the time to try to force something.
But that's part of Carter Ward's game. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way. Only 1 interception on the season thus far, doing a nice job turning himself into a runner.
Counter run left side, 1st down. So the clock will stop for the chains to get reset.
Tackle made by 27, Max Hoffman.
Now moving quickly to the line this time for Danville. The first time we've really seen high tempo here in this 2-minute drill. Now booting out to the right side, and again, just going to take it himself, trying to get out of bounds, and does after picking up the 1st down. Great blocks upfield as well.
Truly nowhere to go with the football. for Carter Ward, and once again, just reading what the defense is presenting you. Once again, drops back, moves the pocket a little bit, maybe saw Lynch out to the flat, didn't love it, looked down the field, and then said, you know what, let me be another smart football player and put my head down and get another first down. Stopping the clock because of the first down, but in addition to that, also because you got out of bounds, saving those 3 timeouts that you still have at your disposal.
1st and 10, approaching the 50-yard line with just over a minute to go here in this first half. Ward takes a snap, drops back, but that'll be stopped. False start going to be called on the offense.
Marker on the play.
At this point, it has to be a point of emphasis for both sides. The officials are clearly going to call illegal motion. If you're moving too prematurely, wait for a second for everyone to get set, because we're losing yards and shooting ourselves in the foot by not allowing guys to simply stand packed in their stance before we get this operation going.
Both times it's been in opportunities where you're trying to move quickly. Extra second goes a long way. It's going to be a handoff this time, right up the middle. And a nice gainer that time across the 50-yard line, but the clock should continue to tick unless, yes, timeout going to be taken by Danville.
Situational football, just over a minute to go. Coach Comer understanding, call a draw, see what you can get, still plan to call timeout, because if you're nearing around the 50-yard line with over a minute to go to drive the length of the field, you have to feel good.
And you know, on that draw play, obviously they're going to be playing a little bit softer because of the time and situation, but Vu's got some speed. So remember, he finds a hole in the middle of the field, he's going to pick up some good yardage, and that's exactly what they do right there.
And the comma on that statement is, if he has open space to get downhill, that definitely plays to his advantage, because that's what he does best in his personality type as a running back.
So the moment right here for Danville, trailing this game by 5, had the missed field goal on their last possession, but still an opportunity here to go into the locker room with a lead.
You can find them on the south side of the concession
here on
stand by the
this
water fountains.
Week
They
6
have
homecoming matchup.
Temporary tattoos and other things to help raise funds for that infant simulator.
So we'll get things going again, 2nd down and 4 with a minute 08. Ward, pressure coming this time, but he averts all of it. 1st down and a lot more, getting to the 30-yard line and sliding down. Wise play that time.
On the keeper, and that'll be good for a Warrior. 1st down.
Carter Ward with the legs.
Once again, gets to the top of his drop, doesn't like the pressure or what he sees downfield, takes off as a runner again. And also understanding, once you get a 1st down in high school football, the clock does stop for a second. Gets everyone up and set again, doesn't lose too much time to get into that next offensive play, albeit an incompletion, but still just the junior quarterback always thinking as time goes on, especially in this 2-minute drill that they're in.
So after the incompletion, 2nd down and 10 at around the 32. Ward, they do the counter run again. That one doesn't get much. Looks like maybe a gain of a yard. And timeout, I believe, taken again here for Danville. Trying to preserve some clock here. It'll be 3rd down and 8. We've seen the draw play be successful, but going to the air, not so much. It's been a lot of scrambling plays for Ward. Do they try to go to the air again, or are they going to try to do this on the ground, maybe bounce it out to the outside?
This is all going to be about content creation for Coach Comer. You're at 3rd and 9 right now. You understand the last field goal you went for was shorter than where you are currently, and you missed it. So what is the level of aggression that he's going to attack with a 3rd down? Is it a shorter run play, pass route concept that's going to get half of this yardage back on this 3rd down and maybe flirt with going for it? Or do you go for it all and take a shot to the end zone knowing that you're in 2-down territory, meaning you're going to go for it on 3rd and 4th down no matter what?
So we'll see what happens here, 3rd and 8. It's Ward and Vu in the backfield. And it will be a pass play, middle of the field. That time it's caught right toward the end zone. Touchdown, Warriors! I didn't have that play. That's not what I was expecting right there. Just right up the seam.
But
beautiful.
It was a motion out of the backfield, and that was enough to occupy the second-level defender that allowed, there's that guy again, Trevor Lynch, getting into the open crescent of that defense, catching the football, going for a big play. Once again, I think a play call that was going to be a fourth down, go for it type of situation anyways. Right. No need when you get the touchdown.
And, you know, the big thing, too, it's the sophomore coming in clutch this time to give your team the lead. It's a homecoming game, out of state, a lot of pressure, and that wasn't an easy catch. He had to completely turn around, switch his feet around, then took contact, still able to stay on his feet and get to the end zone.
That's called a guy who is fearless, understanding when you play in that inside slot position at receiver, there are some times that you just flat out have to take some licks. That time Lynch was able to elude that lick and get in for the big score.
So they stop here. I didn't see, I believe there was a timeout taken.
It was a timeout
from
Coach Comer. Probably just wanted to see what he was going to get from the Spartans on defense on that extra point look. Called timeout, maybe another 2-point conversion attempt here.
They do have the ball spotted there. They came out and got the tee as well. I'd say that's the best indicator. But it's a 1-point lead, trying to make it a field goal game. As Ward will be going under center this time. Man in motion, Ward, pitch play, right side, lot of space, into the end zone. The 2-point conversion is good. It's a 3-point ball game. The Warriors leading the Spartans here on homecoming.
It's not just good enough for Porter Prather to be on defense and making tackles. He has to be a lead blocker. Once again, him leading the way for another huge play, 2-point conversion, good advantage, Warriors.
He likes special teams. I mentioned he's got the block punt on the opposite side, so it really doesn't matter where you put him. He's going to make some plays.
The junior has come ready to play today, fired up, homecoming environment. How could you not be ready to fight for victory tonight?
Knowing that you came a long way in the perspective of Roger Bacon, 43 seconds, 2 timeouts. Are you going to try to see if you can get something short and move from there?
We've already seen them get a positive gain in kick return status. I believe that was Evan Otto, if I'm not mistaken. They got a big kick return in that first half, earlier in that first quarter. So you always hedge your bets based off of what you do that first initial play, special teams or offense, and that's usually the determining factor of what you do for the rest of that drive into the halftime or whatever quarter or break in play.
3-point ball game, an exciting one here in week 6. And a lot on the line. You got two teams that are hovering around that 500 margin, and Danville trying to get back over 500. Roger Bacon trying to put a buffer between that number as well. The fans have certainly gotten into it as well here on homecoming. This one just going to be squibbed and off the hands toward the 20-yard line. So helpful for that kickoff team to just go for that turf bounce.
Smart play to try and field it. You would like to see, if you're a Roger Bacon fan, for your guys to come up with the ball on the first attempt of fielding that kickoff. But it's a smart play because the longer you allow that ball to bounce, the longer that kickoff team has time to get down and potentially jump on it.
And you just never know, coming off that rubber, what's going to happen. I know when I was playing it on a grass field. If we played on turf, it was a big deal. But nowadays, everybody plays on turf, it seems like. And so it really affects the way that ball's going to play.
It's similar to golf. When you're bad, you're used to playing out of the rough.
Exactly.
When you get better, you start playing out of the fairway. So life changes when that happens.
Going to be a quick pass to the right side this time for Roger Bacon, and that's not going to go anywhere. 2nd down and 10.
Have already called his name a lot this game, but this season he's leading the team in TFLs. Before that one, he had 7. That's number 8 for Porter Prather, the junior, all over the football field tonight for the Warriors.
And a timeout going to be taken by Roger Bacon, which tells me that they at least have a little bit more in the tank here with 27 seconds to go here in this first half.
It's all about seeing if you can devise a plan to maybe take a shot down the field. but also still remain conservative because you already took that first half kickoff return. So when you kick off in that second half, don't want to spot them any more points. You don't have to in the latter parts of the second quarter.
And, you know, even if you do run the ball the next 2 times, you know that there's still the chance of breaking one off and getting into the end zone, a big momentum play. You have no idea what's going to happen. So it's worth it to try to save that time, salvage that time.
And as you can see on your screen, Danville, no timeouts left. So if you did choose to run the ball, if you're Coach Blout, then you have that opportunity to do so comfortably because no clock stoppage can be done by Danville.
So 2nd down and 10 from the 28. Again, back to pass and trying to find the left side of the field. That one incomplete. Much better job that time. No contact coming up the left side, just trying to play the football. And brings up 3rd down. You mentioned not having any timeouts. Well, the incomplete pass still stops the clock.
100%, but you come back and run the football here and allow this to play out into the halftime. But that's well done execution-wise on both sides. You take your shot play if you're Roger Bacon, and then on defense for Danville, you play the football because as a defender, you have a right to the football just as much as the offensive guy. So a good back and forth between those receivers and DBs on that one.
Just kneeling the football that time, and that will do it for this first half as the clock ticks. 13-16. Danville has the lead. What's your biggest takeaway?
I just saw a back and forth. One team threw a punch, the other team answered. That's anything you want to see out of a football game. It's just a back and forth of responses when adversity hits.
Well, as we wrap up the first half, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. We'll have some highlights coming around the bend as well. You don't want to go anywhere. We've got a great second half ahead of us here on ISC Sports Network.
Food, shelter, fast Wi-Fi. It's all we really need. Good thing Endeavor has the fast, reliable internet it takes to power all the Wi-Fi hungry gadgets in your home. All at once. With speeds up to 10 gig, get smooth HD streaming video, gaming, music, and surfing, all with no waiting, no buffering, no kidding. Call or click WeEndeavor.com and upgrade to Indiana's fastest internet today.
Back here, Danville High School, where we are setting up for some homecoming festivities. One of the best games of the season anytime you're playing at that high school level. But really, you know, it seemed like there was an opportunity there for this Roger Bacon team to take a couple score lead, and it seemed like the defense kind of stood strong, especially you look at that 4th down stop just before the score to take the lead before halftime, as well as that interception. A couple of opportunities that have been missed from Roger Bacon.
It's just the little things within the game. You talk about a 4th and 1 that goes to a 4th and 6. One that they actually don't convert. It was a turnover and downs. Credit to the Danville defense, and it was simply because senior quarterback didn't allow his offensive line to get set long enough before he snapped the football. So I would assume the message going into the locker room is, hey, when we don't beat ourselves, we put ourselves in good positions, because before that happened, they really had control of the game, as you already mentioned, and were driving to potentially create some separation from the Warriors.
And on the Warriors side, they play a much more methodical offense. They're going to be trying to get it between the tackles a little bit more often. That can be great. You're going to wear down the other team, but at the same time, that can also lead to some possessions where maybe you aren't able to get those first downs. And so it'll be curious to see which one of these defenses breaks in the biggest way, because I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. This is going to be a close game throughout.
We're seeing the tale of two different narratives. For Roger Bacon, they're getting whatever they want, aside from the turnover, and then the second turnover, the turnover on downs, all things that they did to prevent themselves from being successful. But then for Danville, I see a lot of all scripting going on right now for the quarterback and Carter Ward, and how they've been able to want to run the football or maybe throw the football down the field. And it's been Carter being the protagonist, taking matters into his own hands, turning himself into a runner, and finding some success there.
And we're going to go ahead and send it down to the field with the PA announcer here for the homecoming festivities.
And a special thank you to all of our participants, drivers, student council members for making this another great parade. Now please welcome the 2025 Homecoming Court. Representing the freshman class are Gia Wilson, Brooklyn Harlan, Olive Tinnery, Abigail Sickles, Dominic Giotto, Tate McDougal, Kavika Ane, and Colton Peak. Representing our sophomore class is Wyatt Tinnery, Evan Beck, Trevor Lynch, Aiden Archer, Cecilia Prather, Izzy Schwartz, Bristol Tinnery, and Jillian Conrad. Representing our junior class is Maya Wynn, Violet Dorsey, Violet Rogers, Winsley Dorsey, Avery Watson, Titus Brewer, Griffin Hackelman, Porter Prather, and Gilbert Barwa Adun. And for our senior class is Miles Hudson, Owen Bickle, Malachi Lane, Seth Dennison, Grace Green, Sylvie French, Ava Wallace, and Cassie Thompson. Give it up for them, everybody. Alrighty, the moment you've all been waiting for. I'll now be announcing your princes and princesses, and then your king and queen. The freshman class prince is Tate McDougal. Our freshman class princess is Olivia Tinnery. Our sophomore class prince is Aiden Archer. Our sophomore class princess is Jillian Conrad. Our junior class prince is Gilbert Bawa Adum. And our junior class princess is Violet Rogers. Your 2025 homecoming king is Malachi Lane. Your 2025 homecoming queen is Grace Green. Let's all give it up one more time for our 2025 homecoming court. And finally, for the class float competition, 4th place goes to the junior class. 3rd place goes to the senior class. 2nd place goes to the freshman class. And 1st place goes to the sophomore class. Give it up for them, everybody. Thank you to everybody on behalf of our student council for a great homecoming week.
Again?
Tortured by technology? Have no fear. Endeavor is here with Speed Geeks. Our Speed Geeks are expert technicians ready to rescue you from technology troubles. Our experts are here to get and keep your Wi-Fi running properly. We'll even make sure all of your devices stay connected. Give us a call or visit weendeavor.com to see if you're in our service area. Endeavor Communications. Technology for real people.
Countdown 3, 2, 1.
Again?
Tortured by technology? Have no fear. Endeavor is here with Speed Geeks. Our Speed Geeks are expert technicians ready to rescue you from technology troubles. Our experts are here to get and keep your Wi-Fi running properly. We'll even make sure all of your devices stay connected. Give us a call or visit weendeavor.com to see if you're in our service area. Endeavor Communications. Technology for real people.
Countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back on this homecoming game, 16-13. Danville leading it over Roger Bacon. And right now it seems like, Roger Bacon, they've had the opportunities, but there have been a couple of times whenever they haven't gotten the job done on one play and it's decided and basically led to points for Danville.
There's only so many times that you can say Roger Bacon is getting whatever they want before you have to give credit to the Danville way, those opportunities to get even more. First drive, I think about the interception that we saw from Smart on the sideline, throwing it essentially to Jacob Foltz for his 4th interception of the season. And then right there before the end of the half, and honestly before Danville marched the field and scored again to take the lead, the defense creating another stop for 4th and 6, stopping Smart just short of the line to gain. So as much as we want to give credit to Roger Bacon, they deserve it, but so does the Danville defense, because when they've needed to make a big play, they've done what defenses have to do, and that's create turnovers and stops.
And one thing, we talked about off air a little bit was just we felt as though this Roger Bacon team could be up by more points if they hadn't have made those mistakes. There's a penalty flag that moves them back on what would have been 4th down and inches, and then obviously the interception into double coverage. But if you're wanting to stand in here and you're wanting to be that aggressive defense, or I guess aggressive is the wrong word with the way that this defense plays for Danville, but what does Danville need to continue to do as they move into this second half?
That's just been a bend but don't break type of defense so far. Defense, you're going to give up points. No one is asking you to pitch shutouts each time that you step on the field, but I think they have to continue to generate big stops and momentum plays whenever they can. When the ball is out, they have to go punch it out, create a turnover. When they have an opportunity to make a play on the football, when they have a chance to get a tackle for loss, they have to execute on that to give their offense chance to continue to build momentum, because as we saw from their offense, as the game went on, they just got better and better and better. And I think that's ultimately everybody playing off of one another, playing true complementary football.
Now let's go to the offensive side for the Warriors, and we see them get explosive plays. They start it with the run between the tackles, maybe a pitch play here and there trying to stretch the outside, but then they have an explosive play, and that's really what they've capitalized on, is a couple sporadic plays. Is that what they're going to continue to rely on here in the second half?
Everyone think about a synonym for improv. That's what we saw from Carter Ward. It's because you have a set agenda that you're trying to get to with every play that you call, but sometimes you tip your cap to the defense because they're in a position that doesn't allow you to get to that first priority. And then if you have a quarterback like Carter Ward that understands that, even as a youngster, still a junior, to then put his head down and become a playmaker, that's where you have some success. And then you look at the scoreboard and say, that's why we have the lead. So it's been the improv, it's been the off-schedule plays, to your point, that's allowed them to get over that hump of allowing Roger Bacon to play good defense and stop them, and then make Roger Bacon stop them based off of the second and third reads and decisions by Carter Ward.
Let's take a look at those highlights from the first half, and it started off with a nice drive for Roger Bacon. They were able to move the ball across the 50-yard line. It was those quick passes, concise passes, really only that one read, but they were moving the ball down the field. They were picking up first downs. Up until this point, the first deep ball is an interception.
It was a pass that I truly feel like Braden Smart wants back, something that wasn't there, tried to force the issue, but his defense got to stop, got him the football back, and he made good on his mistake on that first drive.
Then you see some more passing game. The decision-making has been so good so far for Ward. You saw it right there. He made the second look. He looks left. He makes a nice throw, and then they continue to move the ball down the field with a huge run right there.
Once again, playing off of one another. Sometimes everyone talks about the run opening up the pass, but on that drive, it was the pass opening up the run.
Then the response on the other end gets the lead back for Roger Bacon, and a phenomenal play just before halftime right there. Gets the lead. The Warriors come in. They've got the three-point lead. They've gone for two both times. That might play a huge factor as we go throughout this game. Obviously, the kicking game oftentimes a little shaky for both teams, so that three-point lead could be huge. That might be touchdown territory for Roger Bacon.
And when Carter Ward goes back to that touchdown pass at the end of the half, that three-point lead, if he's as smart as we think he is, he would say that he intentionally threw that ball so that Trevor Lynch had to turn away from the safety and break free for the touchdown. That's just high-level quarterback play from Carter Ward.
Exactly. It was absolutely calculated. But at the same time, we talked about it in the moment, but a great grab from a sophomore who's having to turn his body completely around, basically does a 360, takes some contact, and then takes it to the house.
He's receiving the football from someone that had a coming-out party at about the same halfway point last season.
Yeah.
Carter Ward had to step in at the controls for the quarterback position, and that was simply after Connor Soper went out with an injury. He stepped in against Hamilton Heights, actually went 10 of 17 in that game, 147 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes, and only a lone interception. So I think Trevor Lynch just said, let me turn the pages back in time and show you, Carter Ward, the impact that you've had on me, and he's having the same impact just in his play today. That's Trevor Lynch with all of the catches down the field and then that big touchdown at the end of that first half.
Roger Bacon, 3-2 on the season, have not been in a one-possession game to end a game so far this season. And then if you're the Warriors, only one game this season decided by a score or less, 27-24, the win over Hamilton Heights. We'll see if this game can wrap up as good as that one as we are ready for the second half. And they are going to bounce this one as it's going to be caught and then just dropping down. Maybe a wise play there by Taylor just to get the ball down and not try to make anything extra happen.
Don't do anything other than what you're asked to do. If the football comes to you, make a play. But in that position of the field, opening kickoff, just get down as quickly as you can.
Well, you know, in that second level, a lot of times, especially at the high school level, it's running backs and receivers. And so a lot of times they'll still try to, turn the ball upfield and try to make a play. That's when you see turnovers on that kickoff return team. So maybe a wise play that time. Going to start off with a lot of bodies down there in that wing tee. Man in motion, just a handoff up the middle. Explosive play across the 50-yard line to start it off for Danville. How about that?
Not as many dive plays in the first half by Danville. And what do? They come back to the bread and butter. Min Vu right up the middle. When he gets downhill, he can do some serious damage. Great starting play for the offense for Danville.
And again, almost catching the secondary off guard. He's got players to his left and his right with nobody in front of him. That's a dangerous spot to be in if you're Roger Bacon on the defensive end.
Not to mention the last time they sent Jackson Whitson in motion, they hit an outside hitting play. That time, a little bit of deception to go up the middle, and back-to-back acts getting Min Vu involved early in the second half.
This one going to be an 8-yard carry for Vu as again, just those types of plays are so sneaky because you think he's got the football, but you can't be sure, and that hesitation is always going to lead to extra yards.
But just off of offensive formation construction, you have to honor and respect that. Everyone is tilted up in a three-point stance, including Min Vu. So if he gets that ball with any head of steam, you can see what that presents problem-wise for the defense.
Another motion man as it's a pitch over on the far side, and that's going to be good enough for a first down.
What do we see from the play caller? Jamie Comer. You get the lead, you get the ball back in the second half, then you play possessive football. You run it, and you make the defense stop you until you have to do something else, all while staying in control of the clock and keeping that offense from Roger Bacon on the sideline.
And the way that they're allowing these, players on these pitch plays to have sort of a head of steam, it's almost like a screenplay. They're already out there before your defense can react, and it's worked wonders so far in this game. First and 10 this time, just a handoff up the middle, and a couple of defenders, as well as myself for a moment, thought that was going to be a speed option out to the right side.
You talk about how they're getting a head of steam on the perimeter when they go those pitch and those tosses, and it's simply because you can never be right. If you get caught guessing, here comes something else. Here comes the second wave on that particular concept. You have to be keyed in of what your responsibilities are when you're going against a wing T offense, because they present so many eye deception that if you get caught looking like you just were, you can be all over the place.
And how about the fact that Hood can come in the game and still pick up a good chunk of yards on first down as Vu back into the lineup, and he's going to get the carry up the middle, and that's going to be right around the first down marker. I believe they're going to give it to him.
Guy's a rugby player as well. He does it all. He's a physical, only 5'8", but he packs a mighty punch with how he's able to drag defenders with him, trying to get him down. Min Vu, someone that I'm sure everyone in Danville is very appreciative of.
Well, the way that they run this offense, it's almost like a scrum. You've got your running back lined up only about 4 yards off the ball when you're under center. That's really tough to try to handle on the defensive line side.
And to spot him behind all those offensive linemen.
Back to pass for the first time on the right side. That one's going to be caught. A big hit and a broken tackle, and that's a touchdown. No, they're going to mark him short. He's out of bounds at the 9, maybe the 10-yard line. Thought maybe he had toe-tapped it and kept it in, but either way, it's going to be a big gain and a first down.
Porter Prather said, I understand, Evan Otto, that you do everything, but sides getting me down. Here goes a shoulder to the head and neck area because I'm bigger and faster than you on this particular play. There's that guy again, Prather, just doing it all.
Had a head in the way, couldn't see if that foot was out of bounds, but that was the call. as now Ward checks the sideline. They're back under center again. Man in motion, handoff to Vu. Vu picks up a couple.
That was a pass play going to Prater that was not taken advantage of in that first half. One of the passes that got away from Carter Ward that he tried to launch down the field, he actually had someone in the flat, as we had talked about, and he actually didn't take advantage of it when he should have, but that time he did, finding Prater once again. Porter just all over the football field on homecoming night.
Hood back into the ball game here, going back under center. And they'll change the formation up. And they'll just hand it off to Hood. Hood up the middle, and he just takes a couple of touches right into the end zone. Another touchdown and a 2-point lead, or 2-possession lead, that is, for Danville.
Everyone should think about this as a track star. If you come out of the blocks and you're not impeded with your start or anyone next to you, you have a really good chance to be successful. And that's all I see in the backfield for Danville. They're track runners, except they're in three-point stances. If they get through that line of scrimmage with no impediments, they have a good chance to do damage, and that's exactly what we saw from Hood.
Yeah, Hood is not somebody I would want to see with a full head of steam coming out of a three-point stance right up the middle. It's going to be pretty hard to make a stop. At that time, the first PAT of the game on the Danville side is good. It is 23-13. And with that, we are going to go ahead and take a break here in the third quarter. We'll be right back to see if the defense can get a stop. Don't go anywhere.
Irritated by your internet provider? Have no fear. Endeavor is here with eForce high-speed internet. Download speed? No problem. Download an HD movie in seconds with our remarkable gigabit speed. Endeavor not only provides the latest fiber optic technology, we're also here to help you use it. We also provide television, wireless, security, and telephone services with outstanding local support. Give us a call or visit weendeavor.com to see if you're in our service area. Endeavor Communications. Technology for real people.
23-13 here on homecoming. Danville with an absolute statement drive right there. Just went straight down the field and a few big, heavy runs as well.
Just asserting their dominance, introducing themselves back to the crowd with all of the distractions as we talked about in the beginning of the broadcast, getting everyone honed back in to the task at hand, and that is taking control of this game, the crowd included, getting a score, going up 10 to start off the second half.
So we'll see what Roger Bacon has coming out of the locker room with the offensive side of things. They're going to have to respond here down by 10 points. This one will be kicked deep and caught just past the 10-yard line, returned. Now already across the 20, a big hit. That's going to be coming the opposite way. That was not a legal block. So it was returned to the 20-yard line. I have a feeling it's going to be coming back to about the 8.
For Roger Bacon, penalty marker on the play.
That was on the blocking unit for the kickoff return team for Roger Bacon.
It was a vicious hit.
Trevor Garachi getting overzealous with the pin back block. Unnecessary, defender not looking, illegal blindside block, block in the back, whatever you want to call it. But it is just unnecessary. You see it here. He's already outflanked by the defender. If you can't see the front of his jersey, just leave him alone. Turn upfield, find someone up north to block, not down south.
So they will move this one back. And, you know, in the first half, the only conversations we seemed to be having was how good the field position was starting out for Roger Bacon. Now they're going to have to go the distance to try to get an answering score here. It seems like when they've had those longer drives, that's when that one mistake is made. You know, they were able to get down the field quickly before they threw the interception. Same thing when they went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. It was when they had to go longer distances. Starting off with a handoff, and it'll go for 3.
And in the football world, you ask anybody of a defensive mindset, defensive coordinators, they want offenses to go on long drives for that exact reason. The longer you go on a drive, the more higher likelihood it is for you to make a mental error or for you to turn the ball over because you're getting anxious to make a play. And if you stay disciplined long enough, they'll usually gift you, if you're the defense playing against an offense that has to drive the length of the field.
It doesn't hurt also when you're playing from behind, more likely to even make mistakes then. 2nd down and 6. Quick pass that time, and maybe a miscommunication as tried to hit the slant, but the out was open.
Didn't know if he was going to Liam Vargo or if he was going to Evan Otto, who was coming out open on the slant route. It kind of confused me because the ball fell between the both of them. So I think some indecision there from Braden Smart at the quarterback position.
I believe that the intent was that the rub was supposed to open up the slant in the middle of the field. It was actually the exact opposite, as that brings up 3rd down and 6. Back to pass this time, and pressure coming through, and a huge sack at the 3. How about the defense for the Warriors?
This is now 2 times this defense. When they call some pressure the first time, it was a turnover on downs. Turned to Braden Smart into a runner. This time, that's again that guy in the middle on defense, Bryce Egan, forcing the sack. Another decision by Bubba Smart, as they call him, nickname for Braden, that you don't want to see. Turnover in the first quarter, throwing it into double coverage, backed up into the own shadow of your own end zone, and you take a sack. Just some head scratchers right there from the Roger Bacon Spartans.
And now Roger Bacon really going to need a good snap here as you're punting in your own end zone. And a timeout going to be taken by Roger Bacon. That's also not great to have to use one of those timeouts here in the 3rd quarter. But Danville, what a great response. You go down, straight down the field, get the score, you go up 2 scores, but then on the defensive end to be able to respond as well. You knew Roger Bacon was going to be coming out hot, but they make a couple of great plays, assisted obviously on the special team side by that penalty flag. And if all goes well here, you're going to be looking at some pretty good field position to try to extend that lead even further.
This is why you just stay in the game just long enough. We talked about it in the first half. We felt that Roger Bacon was getting whatever they wanted and was driving with very little resistance from the Warriors. And I said, if Danville can play and fight in this game long enough to turn that tide, I think this is when it'll turn into a football game advantage for the Warriors. And I think that's what we're seeing in real time right now. They've allowed their defense to be what they are, create turnovers, make big plays, and their offense is right there with them, lock in step. And so far, Danville and their community feeling good about this one.
10-point lead, and the punt team coming back out here, and they've got basically a heavy blocking front here for this punt. Likely not going to be too concerned about anything but just protecting the punter here. So the snap comes in a little low, but the kick is away. That's going to be a bouncer that goes straight out of bounds at the 40. Really the best you can get if you're Roger Bacon, knowing you got the punt away and you move the ball 40 yards as well.
Exactly why you don't want to take a sack in that part of the game. Simply because you don't have an opportunity to flip the field. What exactly does that mean? Getting the football on special teams across the 50. If you can't do that and that offense starts on the plus side, on their side of the 50, that's usually a recipe for disaster for the defense.
So now only 40 yards from pay dirt and possibly an even bigger extension on the offensive side if you're Danville. And this would mark a huge start to your second half if you can find the end zone again. Man in motion, just a handoff right side across the 35-yard line and continuing to push. First down continues to be the big down for this Warrior offense.
We talked about golf. It's all about the tee shots. Everyone wants to talk about 120 and in, but if you don't have great tee shots, if you don't execute, not so much about getting in the fairway, but if you don't get off of the tee box, then you're usually in deep trouble. And so far right now, Danville is getting off the tee. On first down, it's been 5 or more each and every time. Those are recipes to be very successful offensively.
Doing again back to the well and pushing toward the 30-yard line, maybe just short of the line to gain. But to your point, I don't know what you're talking about, because every time a golf ball is touched by a club of mine, it's not going to do anything like I want it to, I promise.
Well, you have to be just like Danville, remain persistent, because in time it does get better.
I'm consistent. I'm not persistent. I am consistently bad. 3rd down and 1 here for the Warriors. Coming up on 5.5 minutes, turning up the field and turning up the speed across the 20-yard line. You could see the change of direction leading into forward momentum that time as Danville gets the first down again.
The game I had of Danville versus Tri-West a year ago, Ethan Wooten was the running back that was second fiddle to Minvu. But he's been out of the lineup inconsistently, not in the lineup. And all I've seen from Dayton Hood, every time and chance he gets to touch the football, he's making sure that his presence is known. And that's what you want. Young guy, is getting some carries, could be the guy next year. And right now that trajectory is looking good for him.
He's an angry runner. I think that's the best way to put it. Whenever he gets a foot down, he's an angry runner. But again, under center here for Ward, as this is again a handoff for Hood. He continues to fight forward, doesn't want to go down, stays on his feet at the 10-yard line before finally being tackled down by a bunch of Trojans.
27 Dayton Hood on the carry.
Maybe a little something extra between those jerseys.
And this isn't a guy that's going to go down. Someone going for the football, someone going for a tackle, two more guys going for a tackle attempt. It takes the entire team, and they still struggled to get him down. It shows you the power that Hood is running with right now.
Whenever he turned out that last one, I thought we were looking at like a Beastquake type play. I thought he was going to high step it. But finally, Roger Bacon got him down. It's going to be 2nd down and 2 here. Pitch play right side. Lot of space. End zone. Touchdown. Trevor Lynch, the sophomore.
29, Trevor Lynch.
How about it? 29-13 the score, and Danville looking phenomenal here in this third quarter.
I go in my Mark Jackson bag and say, mama, there goes that man. Once again, what it's mattered most, they've needed a big play in the first half. End of the first half, second half, they've looked Trevor Lynch's way. The sophomore having a homecoming, coming out party right now and what he's contributed offensively.
PAT up and good. That makes the score 30-13. Endeavor Communications. This game is a proud sponsor. It's proudly sponsored by Endeavor Communications. Endeavor Communications doesn't just provide ordinary old internet service. Their blazing fast, high-speed, fiber-based service is a game changer. Don't settle for less. Switch to Endeavor for the winning play in connectivity. Visit weendeavor.com or call 1-800-922-6677. That's 1-800-922-6677. Endeavor Internet, your fiber connection, your victory. 30-13, Danville trying to get their third victory of the season and move over 500 in this homecoming ball game. And right now it's looking pretty good for them, Jared. I tell you what, you know, whenever we saw the opening half, I wasn't expecting the amount of explosive plays that we've seen so far in this third quarter.
But that was foreshadowing by you. You talk about Endeavor Communication. Should we call him Endeavor Lynch? Because he has been that fiber connection right now for this offense for Danville. He's done everything. Explosive plays, he's done that. Scoring touchdowns, he's done that. Giving them a 17-point lead, Mr. Lynch has done that.
So I'm going to be sent away about the 10-yard line and returned yet again. And that will get about a gain of 10 yards before going down at the 20.
Landon, you asked at the beginning of the broadcast, what does it mean when you travel all this way? Does it up the ante for both teams? Right now, I see a dejected sideline and fan base from Roger Bacon thinking about the drive back to Cincinnati tonight. Right now, a lot of belt to rear end going on from Danville to the Roger Bacon sideline. So they would need to pick up the intensity if they expect to make this a football game, or else they'll just go home dejected like I'm witnessing right now.
Well, I did explain that there aren't a lot of one-score games between these two teams whenever it comes to the final score, and it's starting to look about like that once again. We still have a lot of time left. We've got 4 minutes left in this third quarter and plenty of time for Roger Bacon to try to get back into this ball game, and it obviously starts with this drive. You're going to need 80 yards and a quick out that time and a first down on the first play of the drive.
I do think it's worth noting that running back Jerome Smith, who is a home run hitter for the Roger Bacon Spartans actually went out with injury, hasn't returned since his first play from scrimmage in the first quarter of the first offensive drive for the Spartans. So talking about being explosive out of the backfield, that's someone that they haven't even seen tonight. And he's had a touchdown in at least every one of their wins. And 3 of those wins, they need one right now with what he brings out of the backfield.
And you see a play right there, trying to run it up the middle. And, you know, even if there is a little bit of space, maybe not as much experience with the football. But, you know, to your point, I thought that Jameer Mitchell, to start off that first quarter, coming in as that backup, really looked solid. He had a couple of really nice carries, but it seems like as we've gotten longer and longer into this game, the defensive line has done much better of penetrating and making nice plays. Whenever it comes to Mitchell trying to find some extra space, they haven't allowed it.
Jameer Mitchell has done a nice job all season. He's been the ice to Smith's fire, but sometimes you need that explosion out of the backfield, and right now they just don't have it. Jameer Mitchell is that thumper. Jerome Smith is that highlight type of player, and without that, you become one-dimensional in a sense, especially when you get behind like they have.
More pressure that time leads to a throwaway, and it's 3rd down and long. A couple of subs coming in here for Danville, as I'm sure that they'll be thinking about dialing up some pressure again. And obviously they had that big sack to force the punt on the last possession. We'll see what happens here. Had an extra man on the field, had to get him off. But now they pass to the flat, and that's going to be a lot of open space now across the 50-yard line. Great operation that time on the offensive side for Roger Bacon. And that was Jameer Mitchell, who has shown that he can be a receiving back throughout this game.
Just do a switch concept with the receivers to the boundary to mix up the coverage underneath. Just switching which way they run their routes gets the underneath defender confused. Mitchell out in the flat. I think a huge play for Roger Bacon to get a first down there with what I felt was going to be kind of a determining play for the rest of this game.
And now 1st and 10 across the 50-yard line. They continue to pass. The slant was open that time, but it goes incomplete to Evan Otto.
The velocity on the throw didn't necessarily match the intensity by Otto on his route. Didn't really expect the ball to get there as quickly as it did, taking away from a potential of a big game.
Brings up 2nd down.
And so now whenever you start 1st down without gaining any yardage like they do right here, you're setting yourself up to maybe another big try to get that 1st down. This defense is going to be hungry each and every time they've got 2nd down, 3rd down, and long. Looked at the pass instead, switching, going to the left side, and that one looked like it was bobbled, and it was. It's incomplete. That was a beautiful football, though. If that was caught on first contact, I think that was going to be in. But it gets bobbled before it was caught by Otto.
But these are some things that I just see from Braden Smart. One, some of it is decision-making, throwing the ball to the other team or taking the sack. There, yes, the receiver was open, but it's about the receiver being thrown to a spot by his quarterback. And there I just felt like Braden could have led him into the field of play instead of more toward the sideline.
3rd down and 10. Smart back to pass. He's going to let it fly middle of the field, and I don't think that's going to be to anybody. No, that's over the head of Otto, the receiver. That brings up 4th down across the 50-yard line. I assume keeping the offense out on the field down 17 points. But it looks like they might be bringing the punt team out.
All we've seen from this Danville defense is have the understanding that if they take away the underneath, press up and play a little bit more man coverage with some safety help over the top, the connection down the field hasn't necessarily been there outside of the one that they were able to connect on, Braden Smart to Davion Gibson. Other than that, I feel like Braden has thrown a couple balls up for grabs down the field with no true rhyme or reason.
So here, another punt on 4th down, and it's a high one as it goes out of bounds. Curious where the spot's going to be. It's where it crosses the white line. Well, they've ended up – okay, they're bringing it back. I was about to say it looked like they marked it down where it when it hit the ground. But, no, that's going to be a short punt. I don't know that punt was a 1st down.
I'm always interested in those type of plays. How do they know exactly where it went out?
I'm going to go with they don't. I've always wondered that myself as well. but I'm going to go with they don't.
Everyone just trusts the judgment of the officials. They do a great job, but that's interesting to me.
This game is brought to you by Liuna. The 12,000 Hoosier men and women with Laborers District Council and affiliated local unions that build in Indiana. We are Liuna. Here in the third quarter, 30-13, Danville leading it with the football and 2:15 to go in this third period. It has been a very fruitful third quarter so far for the Warriors as they continue to move the football on first down. That's been the bread and butter. Quick handoff, 5 yards. Quick handoff, another 5 yards.
I go into some of the statistics that I saw getting ready for this game. 39 of 77, 625 passing yards, 8 touchdowns and an interception. That's the stat line of Carter Ward before the commencement of this game. But in the first 2 weeks of the seasons where they faced 2 of their 3 losses, 370 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. Since then, they've gotten a lot more wins, and they haven't passed the ball that much. So I see a recipe of them just getting back to who they truly are, and that's pounding the rock.
When the run game succeeds, they seem to as well, as that's going to be a first down carry for Vu. And, you know, to your point, you're absolutely correct. I mean, Carter has really had the opportunity to pass the ball, but even he has resorted to his legs and continued on with that success in the run game. He's been able to move the football. He's been able to find his opportunities. He's had some nice completions as well and some really good decision-making in the pocket, but he's not getting pressured a ton. He's been able to take his time and make some good decisions. It's shown all day long, especially whenever it starts with the run game. First down and 10 under center once more. And another handoff and another big run, just tripped up at the 40-yard line. That might have gone for a first down, maybe a little bit extra.
You saw those legs from Hood get going. He saw all the open space. Another potential touchdown there, the way he's been running the ball with such explosion, and they're just not able to jump outside of his receiver's block, gets tripped up. But once again, every time 27 gets the ball for Danville, special things happen.
This likely will be the last play of the third quarter with just under 30 seconds left in the period. Back to pass and firing down the field, down the sideline. No, that'll be incomplete, trying to find his man down the field. We haven't seen that a whole lot from this Danville team, but it is second down and short. You know that you've probably got the opportunity. Might as well go for it.
When you take your shots down the field, it has to make sense. The shot at the end of the first half for Danville, it was a situation where they had almost 50 seconds to go to convert a first down. They go for a shot play there. Second and short, you go for a shot play because if you don't get it, you end up in this position where it's still third and manageable.
And they hand this one off. It doesn't go anywhere. Great job on the tackle. As that might have been even a loss of about a half a yard for Vu.
No gain on the play. Brings up fourth down.
Terrence Todd, someone we called his name a couple of times in that first half, catching some of those slips and those perimeter passes from Braden Smart, showing what he can do on the defensive line.
And so that is going to do it for the fourth quarter. And we're going to go ahead and send this one to break. 30-13, Danville leads it. They've got the football here, fourth down and 2. We'll see what happens when we come back. Don't go anywhere. It's ISC Sports Network football here on Friday night. Endeavor Communications proudly sponsors this game. Endeavor Communications doesn't just provide ordinary old internet service. Their blazing fast, high-speed, fiber-based service is a game changer. Don't settle for less. Switch to Endeavor for the winning play and connectivity. Visit weendeavor.com or call 1-800-922-6677. Endeavor Internet, your fiber connection, your victory. Ready to go. 12 minutes left in this game. This homecoming game, a big one for Danville, trying to move to 500 on the season, sitting at 2-3 on the year right now. They're going to keep this one 4th down and 2. That's going to be a first down, and then a big hit right there taken by your quarterback, Ward, but he pops right back up. Actually, it's a nice look when the defender takes a little bit more time to get up than the guy who gets hit hard.
And that was Tom Bettinghouse, who does a nice job, sure tackler on the perimeter. They're coming into the picture late, already after Carter Ward got that first down, but took a brunt of the hit, showing some of the toughness that Ward has, even as a runner.
Aggressive play calling awarded right there as it was 4th down and 2. They decide to go to the outside. They'd been pounding it inside for the last, 3-4 plays. It got stopped. You're probably expecting them to go for that again. They bounce it back outside, and that's what's been so dangerous on this team. You just don't know where the football's going, as they will take it up the middle again.
Just so many different options at your disposal in this type of offense. It's one thing I've loved about Coach Comer, coach teams. They're so balanced at every spot. Once again, it's that system that we talked about in the first half, plugging and playing, new faces in, but the agenda remains the same. Be aggressive in your role, and they've done that tonight.
Now, I will say selfishly, I love the speed option. So I've been waiting for that ball to get pulled because they've been setting it up on a couple of these plays on that triple option play, but it's just been handed off each time because it's been so successful. 2nd down and 8, and they'll fake the pitch play. It'll be a pass, and just going down that time was Ward, nothing doing. Couldn't get outside of the pocket and throw it away. Instead, just elects to take the sack.
Don't totally mind that. At this point in the game, you're up 17. Don't make a bad play worse and try and launch the ball with those defenders in such close proximity. Takes the sack. Understand the clock continues to go. You still have the advantage and are in full control.
Yeah, and, that's another point that we've made is just the age is showing by the quarterback in Ward. He certainly has some time under his belt behind center, and he has played a very smart football game today. This time takes a snap, but whistles, and a timeout going to be taken by Danville. As I believe the play clock was running down, but 10 minutes to go, and a timeout going to be taken in this 17-point ball game. Surprise. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a Roger Bacon team that in Ohio State football tournament fashion, that's an iteration that has seen a lot of things change over time. For the better part of the last 25 years, there were only 8 teams actually, per region that actually made the playoffs. That got up to about 16 around COVID and back down to 12 more recently. This Roger Bacon team won their first regional title in school history back in 2020, advancing to its first Final Four in school history. And anybody that knows anything about University of Cincinnati and Roger Bacon football, there's a guy named Corey Kiner, running back, special product out of Cincinnati that went down to Baton Rouge in the boot and did a lot of damage down there in the SEC in the lone time that he was down there in that single year. Came back to University of Cincinnati, did a phenomenal job there, and is now playing for the San Francisco 49ers as an undrafted free agent. So I'm sure a lot of people at Roger Bacon very proud of what he has done for their community, putting Roger Bacon on the map here in the last few years.
Now they're coming over here to Indiana, and Danville with a run across the 30-yard line. And so, you'll take that, especially with the circumstance. It's going to bring up 4th down and possibly manageable depending on what they decide to do here on special teams, or if they keep the special teams out there.
My goodness, Porter Prather on the takedown. Jaden Tiller, get out of the way. He's done everything tonight. Decleater there on the massive run play that we just saw. Receiver, blocker, tackler, top 3 on the team. Porter Prather was on the homecoming court that we saw at halftime. I mean, he just does it all.
Why not? Why not? Now we know why he's Mr. Popular. They take the snap and a flag, a false start going against the offense.
Penalty marker on the play is a false start against Danville.
So 4th down and 5, and they were fully prepared to take the snap right there and go for it. Now a little bit further out. I wonder, do you just run the football?
They were about to get into their screen game, which is something they did a lot of last year, a little bit this season. As you saw, Mason Shipley down at the bottom of your screen, getting ready for the tunnel screen, getting his offensive line out in front of him. But the false start, moving too quickly before everyone was set, could snap the football.
So this time Ward takes the snap, fakes the handoff, screen, middle of the field. That's a first down and more, and a face mask likely going to come in on top of it. What a play that time by Danville. Picks up the 4th down and 10.
When your number one receiving option doesn't really get involved until the second half, gets behind the defense, gets into that open window, takes the face mask, continues to tremble for more yards, that usually means that other people have been involved and have done some good things. But that's Drew Rector, leading receiver on the season. Just before that, just under 300 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, a long of 71, going back to that season opener against Gibson Southern.
That was the smoothest face mask I think I've ever seen. I mean, it just looked like he was already going to do a spin move right there as he just kind of went into it. But it gives him a couple of extra yards as well. Now inside the 5-yard line. Motion man coming across to the left side as they'll just hand it off up the middle. Vu going for the end zone, and he's in. Another touchdown for the Warriors as they continue to stack them on top here in a huge game here on homecoming.
All you feel right now is the stacking of the will being taken from Roger Bacon. Defenders just not even wanting any parts of this run game blocking scheme or the running backs coming out of the backfield. And this is just Danville taking complete control, pitching a shutout so far in this second half to go up multiple scores here in Danville.
And the PAT is good. And we are going to go ahead and take a break here. 37-13, 8:48 left in this ball game. Danville's rolling.
It's time to supercharge your internet with ridiculous speeds up to 1 gig from Endeavor. Get ready for high gear downloads that power buffer-free streaming, gaming, sharing, and surfing. And fire up all your devices at once with reliable speeds amplified by the latest Wi-Fi equipment. Get on the fast track to a powerful online experience. Contact Endeavor and supercharge your internet today.
After the touchdown, 37-13, our score, and this was a game that really could have, there's almost a coin flip on how it could have gone, especially in that first half after seeing what happened. But Danville has absolutely just come alive in this one to take a resounding lead through that third quarter.
You imagine there's a level of confidence by Coach Blout and his Spartans going into halftime saying we're down 3, but we've gotten everything we've wanted. Everything's right in front of us, to getting mollywopped in the second half and saying this game got out of hand quickly.
That one caught inside the 5-yard line. Now the return is across the 30, and a nice one as it's just short of the 40-yard line. Roger Bacon, like I said, it seems like every single final score this season has been very dynamic. Their first loss of the season to Indian Hill was 30-7, but then they came back with a 42-0 and 35-8 win over Western Hills and Hughes. Then Archbishop McNichols ends up being 26-0 in a loss, and then they come back with a 42-22 win. So, every single one of their games is a blowout one direction or the other. They're very much a go hard or go home type of a team.
And the first time that it happens, you say, okay, let's learn from it and be better the second time. When it happens 2 or 3 times, now it's a habit. So that just tells me in games that you feel in full control of, you play really well. When it's in the balance, not so well. And that's exactly what we've seen from the Spartans tonight.
Going back to the quick out game here is Roger Bacon. The clock will continue to tick here, but it's going to be about an 8 yards, it's called a 7-yard gain here.
And the initial montage of plays from Danville wasn't anything physical. I felt like it was everything mental for Roger Bacon in the second half, just not being fully in tune with the game like they were in that first half.
Deep pass dialed up this time, overthrown. It bounced about the 20-yard line. I kind of wonder if that wasn't because of the defensive back, who's actually now down on the field. Possible cramping going on right now. seemed a little shaken up after the play. But one thing that you had mentioned earlier was the playoff setup in the state of Ohio. Now, you come from a school that's certainly had more success than mine, me coming from Bedford North Lawrence. But do you prefer the playoff system the way that it is played in an Ohio or an Illinois, or do you like that free space type of playoff system like you see in Indiana?
That's a great question. I don't know if I prefer one or the other. I think ultimately it does create a habit and perception of football based off of where you're from. So I remember having guys in college coming from the state of Ohio and saying we never went to the state tournament, and that being a foreign concept to me because everyone in the state of Indiana goes to the tournament. But at the very end of the day, whether you don't make it because you weren't that good or you get bounced early because you weren't that good, I think the same result ends up being the final one at the very end of the day. So just having the experience of going to the tournament, does it really mean that much outside of saying that you made it? Not really. So I think the ante of being set, saying, hey, if you have a great regular season, that will be rewarded. I think you just help kids better develop mentally as they go out into the real world, because that's exactly what you'll see outside of the football field.
And, you know, you have a 6A class system. So you already know that you're spacing out these teams. It's not like, you know, you're in a situation where Center Grove is playing against a 1A school, you know, those types of situations. I much prefer the open system because I am never going to say no to more high school football. And those small towns, despite not maybe having the best team, they're going to shut the town down for one of those games.
So that means you're all for the college football playoff expanding to more teams so that we can get more football.
I think that at the college level there is a bigger discrepancy by the end of the season between the best team in the league and the 20th team in the league. So I don't know if I necessarily love a much more of an expansion past maybe 16 teams. I think 12 teams is probably perfect. They just need to fix who's getting the buys and how that whole situation's played out as well.
It's a never-ending discussion that I don't think will ever be ratified.
Pressure coming this time. Boot out to the left side. Open man and a first down and more out of bounds just across the 30-yard line.
Smart's pass is complete to for Christian Bird.
As Bird was able to come away with the reception.
Play results in Roger Bacon first down.
It's unfortunate for Roger Bacon that their first positive play this entire half didn't come to under 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That doesn't help you when you're trying to get in the win column in back-to-back weeks, especially when you traveled across state lines.
So now across the 30-yard line and continuing to move the ball down the field. Roger Bacon, 1st and 10, pass play this time. It's going to be a quarterback. I thought it was going to be a scramble, but it ends up being a dump off, and it's across the 10-yard line. Ball was fumbled out of bounds. And so it goes out at the 10, so back it up a couple of yards, but still a great gain that time after some movement there from Smart.
Liam Vargo looked like me too many times leaving my house, looking back like, man, I know I forgot something, and it's that iPhone charger that you just hope is in that same spot that you left it.
Nope, it's at the 10-yard line.
And Vargo seeing the football just bounce inbounds and just hoping that it bounces out of bounds so his team can retain possession.
1st and goal from just in front of the 10-yard line. Quick pass that time. The safety came in there, tried to jump it, but it ends up being incomplete regardless.
Intended for 3, Evan Otto. Brings up 2nd down.
Still a lot of football to be played in this game, but for the entirety of this season, you don't want to just go out here and become loose with your mechanics, with your operation, just because those sometimes bleed into the back part of the season when you need to play some of your best football. So I would love to see everyone from Roger Bacon continue to execute at a high level in the back part of this game, although this one has gotten out of hand.
Pass middle of the field, big hit on the quarterback and an incomplete pass. Smart went down pretty hard. He's able to pop up there. It's going to be 3rd down and goal.
That's that guy, Bryce Egan, coming in the backfield, sideline to sideline, sure tackler, a doer of everything. He got the big sack in the 3rd quarter, almost got an interception on a middle screen in the 2nd quarter. He's the leader of the tackling bunch of this entire defense, just doing a nice job continuing to play, as I just said.
So a couple of big plays here. The defense has an opportunity to keep this as a goose egg in the second half. That's up for grabs, and that is intercepted. Second time in the end zone for Danville. And that's a good way to keep them out of the end zone.
I'm just wondering at this point, is there a homecoming king and queen for performance on the football field? And if so, it's got to be a king and a prince, because Trevor Lynch and Porter Prather have done an outstanding job respectively on both sides of the football and in special teams. Prather once again being a outstanding focal and highlight point for Danville tonight.
I think around here we just call it the player of the game, and we'll get to that in the post game for sure, as it's 37-13. You did mention moving forward for the rest of the season. Next week it'll be Danville taking on Lebanon. They're in a great game right now with Triton Central. Lebanon sitting at 4-1. That game 21-14 in the second half. So that's a good one. They will be taking on Danville next. 7 o'clock kickoff on the 3rd. Danville continues with the offense as they will run this ball up the middle, and a second wind. Looked like it was going to be a tackle down at that line to gain. Instead, it goes for an extra 10.
If you do not physically escort Dayton the Hood down to the turf, there's a high likelihood he's going to break that tackle. Body blows, arm tackles, not good enough. And even pulling him backwards where it seems like his lower body gets tangled up almost wasn't good enough. The man is possessed tonight running the football.
Well, I think it really doesn't matter if it's Pee Wee football or if it's the NFL. You try to do a shoulder tackle like that at the wrong angle, it's just not going to work. And it's definitely not going to work against a player like Hood. Pitch outside this time. Having to make a man miss, just trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage, and they do. Clock ticking down below 6 minutes of play here in the fourth quarter.
Roberts on the carry. Tackle made by 25, Elijah Stinger.
If all stands here, this would be the biggest loss for Roger Bacon on the season. And you mentioned that bus ride home. You know, you've come probably on that bus ride after a loss. It's not an easy one. You come over into another state and a long bus trip, it makes it a little bit harder.
You have nothing but 74 East to think about the amount of agony that you have in your brain watching, hearing, listening, witnessing what just happened for 3 hours in Danville, Indiana, all the way back to Cincinnati. But a credit, huge credit to Danville being resilient in their effort tonight. I think this is a team that I feel narratives do follow you. This is a team that faced a tough loss in sectionals a season ago, something that we can dive into in the back part of this fourth quarter. But when you coming to a season like this and you had so much success and you won the Sagamore Conference last year and then you don't start like everyone anticipated you to, the questions start to rise. Are they still hungover from what happened to them last season? And that's not necessarily what you asked for, but that's what you signed up for, because when you lose like you did last year and come into an effort this year losing, those questions are begged to be asked. And I think they've answered, continuing to be resilient, continuing to fight and scratch and claw for every bit of success. And I think this is just a culmination of that effort this entire season.
Fourth down coming up right here, and it looks like the offense staying out there on the field, which, I mean, obviously it's been successful on fourth down, but you're on your own side of the field, maybe wanting to flip it as opposed to risking the possibility of giving up the football at midfield.
Not sure that it provides a threat to Roger Bacon. I feel like they're now uninterested in this one, just ready to get back home. So at this point, Coach Comer just trying to get guys in the football game as he looks to the official begging for the offsides call, and the banter back and forth doesn't warrant the flag.
Well, if you're the left tackle, at that point you do need to jump. I mean, if
All
somebody's going to come into your neutral zone, like we got to see some movement or something. You know, playing center, too, it's not always the best idea, but if you know what the play call is and you know your quarterback's savvy enough, snapping the football, you know, just getting something moving to try to get that penalty. Would have been first down. Instead, a timeout going to be called here under 4 minutes. I think we're maybe getting a little bit too cheeky with it, you know.
Just last season, the matchup against Brebeuf, That was one that made it all the way to the ESPN top 10. That was Maverick Geske, the quarterback, taking advantage of the play that everyone practices, the hook and lateral, actually going for a score to send that game into overtime. They get into overtime. Danville takes the lead, doesn't get their conversion, and then they thought they got a stop on 4th down. Maverick Geske going for the run. Defense stops them. The sideline escorts themselves on the field, and they get called for sideline interference. Flag on the play, replay 4th down. They lose in crazy fashion at the end in a game that Coach Comer says, by rule, because Geske's helmet popped off, the play should have been blown dead automatically. But that's not how the officials saw it. And so what feels like a win for Danville was actually a win in the score books for Brebeuf. And Brebeuf was able to go on into the sectionals, to the next round of sectionals, but just a gut-wrenching loss for the Warriors. Watching that season end after you battle back in a game that Coach Comer said we weren't worried about the score. We were just worrying about staying in the game, getting to our spots. They did exactly that, and by his account, they won that football game.
And that's the perfect mindset, really, it seems like, whenever you go up against a team like Brebeuf. You know that they're going to bring in their best every single week. It doesn't matter who they're playing, and that's a tough draw to have to go up against in a sectional game. And you're in the thick of it. You know, you're in overtime. You think you've got the win. That's always tough. Turnover on downs this time, and Roger Bacon takes back over, and a tackle for loss going to be added to the stat sheet. And another big play right there. A little bit of flexing down after the tackle as well for big number 55, Cale Quick.
Doing a nice job doing
True
the
to his
bear
name.
hug, being quick to get in the backfield, bear hugging Garachi, same guy that picked up the penalty on special teams, gets a nice invitation and meetup in the A-gap with Cale Quick.
Second down and 12, another backfield stop. And that was a whole party of black jerseys that time. They were able to get back there and bring up 3rd down and very long.
Another guy who was on homecoming court actually got homecoming king. That's Malachi Lane. As you see, him and Cale getting in the backfield again. 2 guys playing a phenomenal game tonight, sharing the tackle for loss.
A lot of football jerseys there in that homecoming court.
Absolutely.
There were about 4 or 5 different players out there being celebrated. This is just a handoff. About a gain of a yard, brings up 4th down. And I believe that'll bring the punt team out here. So we're approaching 2 minutes of play. And what will be a massive win for your Warriors. 37-13 the score right now. And we'll get this to 2 minutes. But it also feels a little extra good, obviously, with homecoming. But the noise you talked about in the pregame, knowing that you were able to sort of muffle that, come out, had a very hard-fought first half, and then just an absolute gut punch to the other team to start over coming out of the locker room.
It's always interesting when homecoming comes around because everyone says how excited they are for the football game, but those are the same people that present so many hurdles to clear that have nothing to do with the football game.
Exactly.
So getting high school kids to stay focused at the task at hand to win a football game, I think is the ultimate result that everyone wants and gets everyone excited. And I think right now here in Danville, they've done a nice job of staying focused, taking some punches early, but being the ultimate one to deliver the last blow, and that's been 21 unanswered in this second half.
And they will punt this time. Sent deep to the 25, bounces across the 15. One of the top plays, right? I mean, that was a phenomenal punt. Gets it inside the 10. Have to imagine they'll just run this clock out to finish things up. You're getting the patented "I believe that we will win" chant from the student section.
I was expecting to hear the "I believe that we just won."
Oh, yeah.
But all the same, you still get one in the victory column.
We don't have that kind of confidence at the smaller schools. I think that's a y'all thing. Last week was calling a game, and I heard the "I believe that we will win" chant before the game kicked off. and I was just shaking my head because that almost always goes poorly.
Never ends well.
Can't get the chant going too early. With a minute 43 in a 24-point game, I think that's probably the appropriate time where you can do that chant as they knee the football and run the clock. Be a couple of kneeling attempts here to wrap this game up, but overall, give me your big takeaways from the offense and the defense for Danville.
I think they've just done a nice job of playing off of each other. The defense got started early, taking some blows from Roger Bacon, but remained persistent in their effort and the way they attacked. And then the offense started to brew, almost like that coffee in the morning, starting to build some momentum. And now it was just a complete avalanche ever since that middle part of that second quarter into that first half finish. And I think they never looked back, and it showed because that scoreboard said 16-13 at halftime, and we see what it says now. So just a complete testament of everyone playing together on their respective sides of the ball.
And, you know, one thing that's going to be important, you mentioned the stats of how successful they are when they run the football well. It's not just running the football well. I mean, it seems like when they weren't being as creative, they were still getting stopped on certain run plays. But when they were creative with the way that they were calling the offense in that run game, that's what made them so dynamic in that second half.
But there's a lifeline in winning football. It's leaning on the run game. Whether you play well or you don't play well at all, that's something that can get you through those storms. And in that storm, especially when they wanted to take control of the game to start the second half, they leaned on that run game, and it had some huge dividends.
This clock running out here on homecoming as we get our handshakes at midfield. Roger Bacon falls to Danville 37-13 in a massive one. And we do want to thank our sponsors one final time. Endeavor Communication, internet speeds up to a gig. Find out more at weendeavor.com. Liuna, the proud member of the Indiana Laborers District Council and affiliate local unions who build Indiana. We are Liuna. Raising Cane's. Game days are better with Cane's. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with the post-game show, give out a player of the game and possibly a play of the game as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I can.
Back here for the final time at Danville, and it's a big victory. You see it on the scoreboard, 37-13 in this out-of-state matchup. And Jared, final thoughts, who you thought was the shining star for this Danville team?
I have to give the number one selection and nomination to Trevor Lynch. I think his touchdown at the end of the first half really was the appetizer into what we saw, a flurry of Warriors being in full control in the second half. But my secondary guys would be Porter Prather for what he did just all over the field, being a football player, and then Carter Ward being a second play, third decision maker tonight and what they wanted to do offensively. All of those guys played a pivotal point at some point in time during this football game, and that explains the huge victory tonight.
Well, that's wraps here on this homecoming victory, 37-13. It'll be Lebanon next week taking on Danville as they move to 500 on the season, 3-3. So for my partner, Jared Thomas, thank you to the production crew as well here for ISC Sports Network. My name is Landon Kleindorfer, saying enjoy the rest of the first day of the rest of your life. Have a great night.
Want lightning-fast internet speeds? Choose Endeavor. Go from slow to whoa. From last to fast. And wait to great. Endeavor Communications is bringing the fastest internet speed in Indiana to your town. So you can download huge files in a flash. Stream videos at blazing speeds. And game online faster than you thought possible. Think fast and contact Endeavor Communications today at join.weendeavor.com.